The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host and producer, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host today, Otto Los. Otto, what can we say about you? Longtime friend, volunteer supporter, the face of PI, really. And today we have a really exciting show.
We have a full house.
If anyone is watching us on video, you will see we have like a live audience, but it's also participating. So this is really,
I used to.
I know we really got to be on our game here, Otto. Well, we're really excited because this morning we are joined by Jennifer Albertson and Eva Shtein, who are the co-founders and facilitators of the Story Round. And then they brought along with them some participants of the program too. They offered a program called Unwritten Stories over the summer, which feels like a bazillion years ago. But I'm so excited to have you guys on to talk all about creative writing for seniors and just to tell us a little bit about yourself. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so let's start from the beginning before we get into the works of art that were created.
Mm-hmm.
What is the Story Round?
So the Story Round is a collaborative venture where we teach creative writing to all different levels of writers. We really like to focus on that engagement with their own stories and stories that are created and the ability to take skills you already have and turn them into something amazing. And that is really one of our biggest focuses. We also like to talk about books and help people to gain those critical thinking skills that come with reading. So our goal is to make people more excited readers, more excited writers, and offer the opportunity to create something of their very own.
So this is the complete opposite of when I grew up. And what you learned was grammar.
Mm-hmm.
They pounded grammar into your head to the point where you really didn't think about what you were writing about. You know, all you were worried about was correct grammar, which I unfortunately, yes, you need grammar, but I think the thinking you just expressed would have been a lot more important back then.
I mean, we did notice that our participants had excellent penmanship.
And we really
You had to
appreciated
do
their
that too.
hour too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that wasn't such fun either because I remember using an inkwell with a pointy pen, and the ink would drip all over the place, and you had to have a blotter. The process of writing was mechanically more difficult,
Yeah.
much more difficult.
Yeah.
So what made you guys, I know you guys are both teachers, but what directed you to start this organization?
I mean, I think Jen and I saw a gap in the creative element, especially for the seniors in our community. We each have parents living in the community and see that there's that missing component. Our seniors are not engaging in, writing their stories. I mean, there are definitely programs for them that are digital, virtual, online. Kids are buying sort of card packages for birthday gifts or Hanukkah, Christmas, but we're finding our seniors are having trouble with making those written connections unless they have kind of one-on-one prompting and group work and all that kind of collaborative work that we really believe in, and community work.
Yeah, and we also noticed a lot, even in our own classes with students of all ages, that the best part of creative writing is the community that it creates. So doing that in isolation in any way is not getting you the same effect, because not only workshopping your writing with other people, but that generative piece, generating your ideas, recognizing that the things you think maybe weren't important are actually extremely important. And in our class, we focused a lot on the smaller ideas, not just the big things that happen. A lot of our seniors, and you'll hear what they're writing or what they're going to be reading, are more about these little moments that maybe in a normal conversation with your family wouldn't have gotten shared. And it's this idea of community. It's like, you know what, that really is important.
Yeah.
That really is formative. And we also really loved the intergenerational piece. We loved getting this opportunity to get to know our students and letting them get to know us, and feeling that that community was broadened with that connection as well.
Yeah, and I should also mention you both are North Hempstead residents too, so it's
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
have you on the show. But I do think, and especially with these creative writing things, because I know with a lot of our seniors, as you were saying, you don't even know where to begin, right, with these things. And it's like, it's so overwhelming. You're like, oh my God, I have to write this down. My story's not that interesting. And I think when you are in these group situations, because I even know myself, it can bring something up in your mind that you might not have even thought about, so I think it's such a special place. And I have to say, I had the privilege of always peeking in on your workshops, and it was just so lovely. And you really you heard the laughs and the pictures, and you had a beautiful little celebration the last day. So it was really, really just a special group.
I think what really made it special is the connection that the participants sort of made with each other too, when they got to hear each other's stories and workshop them together. I think they found that there was so much connection there, even though they come from all different walks of life. So that just felt so extra special.
Yeah, well, it just
I can look at it from their perspective as well, because I'm not exactly a junior.
I don't know about that.
And I, on my own, actually, I wish I had programs like yours. Actually did a thing I call
He's
a
just incredible,
hodgepodge,
yeah. Look at
which
this
is at this point in time,
so organized.
Oh,
If
it looked
anyone is
way
watching,
more organized than the last time I saw it,
I know,
actually.
he's really been
It's
workshopping his
about-
hodgepodge.
65 pages of stuff.
Yeah.
And I call it hodgepodge because it was created over many years. And I do it whenever I feel like something comes up in my brain. I put it in this book and I try to categorize it, but there's no sequence to this. It is a hodgepodge.
Yeah.
And I think one of my beliefs that you have to get over is this doesn't have to be like a perfect book.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I wish I had things like this from my grandparents who I never even knew.
I mean, I was
I
just going
never
to say
even
that.
met them. They were in another country.
Yeah, how
And,
lucky for
yeah.
your family that they
Yeah,
get to
it's
have
such a
that. That is.
But
And I'm lucky too, because I got a copy of it.
Well, the reason I did it is because of the fact that I wished I had it. So I thought, well, why don't I do something about it
Yeah.
for the future generation? And as you point out, stuff that might be trivial isn't really when you look back on it. Like I found out my grandfather made wooden shoes in Germany. I would have loved to have
It's
heard
a great
more.
little.
Yeah, I would have
it's a
loved
great
to have
little
heard
anecdote.
more about that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyhow, it's good that you had all the people who participated.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a really special group.
So let's bring in one of our first participants. We have 4 participants with us from the program. So I believe we're going to have on John Leszriewick will be our first guest. Come on up, John. Well, John, I'm so excited to hear what you did, and we'll learn a little bit about you. So let's get right into it. Give us
Okay.
your reading.
Oh, all righty. Want the reading first or about me?
Whatever you want. You want to warm up? Whatever
me
you
warm
want.
up
You want to warm up?
first.
Let's start
Well,
with this,
I'd
John.
like to do a little warm
Yeah,
up. Like
there you go. Otto loves a warm up.
What interest? How did you get interested in doing this? What kind of
Yeah.
triggered you?
Oh, I just saw a brochure, a leaflet, picked it up and said, hey, this is different. I spent so much of my life, my career as administration dean, administrator in a hospital, everything else, I called it, like linear writing.
Right.
Mhm.
I was excellent at writing brilliant stuff about facts,
Yeah.
other things. I
I
never
was
wrote
in the
about
same
myself.
world, kind
I
of.
never wrote about myself. So this seemed like a cool thing to do.
Right.
And so that's how I jumped
Oh, so,
into it.
so you didn't even you've never done this on your spare time or anything until you were just like, let's just do this.
It's something entirely new to look at feelings, looking at I look at the world, describe it with adjectives.
Ah,
Never did that
I
before.
love it. Oh, that's so great.
What kind of action?
He's like, it depends on the day, really.
Not really, actually, lovely. Like here, it's fun to be here today.
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's all good. Thanksgiving dinner at my son's house, passing the baton on to a new generation now. It was just lovely. I walked around with all these relatives and friends and people, just admiring them and saying,
I heard a comment the other day. It's something that I may forget the exact words, but life is like you go up into a high-rise building, and then all of a sudden you can see a lot more from when you get to the top of the high-rise. And it was by some rock band who said
Otto,
that.
look at you opening
But I
your
thought it was a
horizon.
good statement, and it's true. Life just looks so different
Yeah.
when you get up higher, and you can really, I think, see things that you didn't see before.
Oh, I love that. That sounds great.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm going to steal it and use it.
John, so
Yeah, you can
let's
steal it. I
dive
stole
in.
it.
Let's get his reading in because we have a lot of readings to get through. We want to make sure we have everyone featured. So, John, give us a
Very good.
story.
I'm going to dive right in and hopefully we can finish this.
We will.
I picked one from my teenage years because of conversations we were having before the
Where were
program
they,
started.
by the way?
The teenage years were in Queens.
Where?
Let me see, a number of places. South Jamaica, I grew up in, and Astoria, Queens.
Oh, I was in Queens, Woodhaven, Queens.
Okay.
Otto was like, just, he just wanted to
Yeah,
do that.
just,
Dan's giving you the
Okay,
eye.
you lived in the fancy neighborhood.
Not really.
Okay, let's just jump right in.
Yeah.
So I can finish this for you. On a humid August day, I found myself at 16 on a family trip going somewhere in a very hot car. In my lap was a stained paperback copy of a play from which I was trying to memorize a character's dialogue. Spending the summer on schoolwork was not my idea of fun. It was almost as bad as being in this car going somewhere I did not want to be. Drop of sweat falls on the page. Oh, try to remember. Read a line, recall it. Read another and try to string the two together without looking. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. How did I get into this situation? Basically the same way I wound up at an all-boys vocational high school. It seemed like a good thing at the time. Even at the admission interview, the teacher was confused or bemused by my desire to be there, and I didn't know why, but it expanded childish dreams of planes and aviation. And most likely, it fit into my parents' belief in the concrete, having a concrete and tangible profession like engineering. Take Uncle Walter. He was successful, and we lived in a housing project. Aviation High School was a large vertical building and had escalators to move us between floors. My shy, socially inept self drifted in the general ebb and flow of guys among the classes, most having little personal contact as we all commuted to the school from various parts of the city. Lost in my memory, one teacher referred me to a remedial group to correct a speech problem that I was not aware of. But as usual, going with the flow, fate brought me to an unintentional turning point. The speech teacher, Mr. S., also taught English and directed the drama club. So in addition to our sessions and crisping my tongue's lazy L, he gradually shared the joys of the theater and opera. His expressions of happiness might have eluded some of my classmates, but found a receptive audience in me. He described a vivid world that was unknown to me. Perhaps my interest was so evident that he gradually suggested activities in the drama club. So I tiptoed into this new world, box office duties, distributing programs, and eventually the reader at the opening of the weekly assembly. One day, Mr. S. quietly spoke to me about the upcoming play. He expressed confidence that I would be excellent in a particular role. Actually, one of the leads, Billy Budd. He saw in me something that I couldn't find, but as usual, I went with the suggestion as it seemed like the thing to do. Perhaps it was the assembly experience or my innocent looks and naivete, but the role was mine, and I said yes to the assignment without thinking. The fall rehearsals were not really a chore. All of the tedious memorization gradually came to life as the cast interacted with each other. I became more confident as my lines went from static words to actual thoughts. It was amazing how the roles became whole once our scenery and props were in place. We had a rudimentary platform as the ship deck. Areas on stage right and left served as the captain's quarters and crew mess, with small tables and stools scattered about. Assorted ropes and pennants was strung from the rigging along with one solitary rope ladder. After adding the stage lighting, the characters became so much more real, surrounded by our imaginary shipboard world. Finally, the glorious opening night. After an initial round of nervous butterflies, I strode onto the stage and spoke. The more time that elapsed, the greater I felt the spirit of the character. The innocence, gullibility, humanity flowed for me as if I was Billy Budd and no longer John. I displayed real feelings long hidden by a mask of shyness and hesitation. At that final scene, Budd, who has been found guilty for killing the evil ensign Claggart, has to be hanged from the mast. In silence, the captain, crew, and audience watch as Billy climbs up a rope ladder, disappearing into the rafters to meet his fate. Hidden at the top of the ladder in the rigging, I wait for the closing curtain. I felt as if I actually had lived as another person. It had not been for the applause or congratulations. The pleasure of the moment resided solely with John and Billy, as if a new spirit had emerged. In quiet moments now, looking back at life's events, there is a wonderment of how and why some occurred seemingly without a plan or direction. In that brief moment, I went from aeronautical engineering to the performing arts and literature. I found I liked airplanes, not as objects, but because of the places they took me in my imagination.
That was great.
Well, we have to go to a break, but John, stay with us because we're going to chat with you right after the break. After the break, we will continue talking with the founders of Story Round and all the wonderful participants, all about creative writing workshops for seniors. You're listening to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio.
WCWP is your home for great music and great conversation. You'll find all that and more on WCWP.org. Listen live on the web, check out the lineup, subscribe to podcasts, and stay up to date on the latest station events. Get in touch with us and let us know if you like what you're hearing. And find out how you can support or get involved at the only community public radio station serving Nassau's North Shore. Plus, sign up to get a free bumper sticker. It's all online at WCWP.org.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host, Otto Los, and we're diving right back in with John Leszriewick, who just shared before the break his incredible reading, a little excerpt from his memoir. It was so great. And I'm not even just saying this. It was wonderful, and I had a smile on my face the entire time.
We don't get paid to say it was good. But
we don't, right? Yeah. Well, speak for yourself on it. No, it really was. So Otto, of course, has a whole host of questions to ask. But, doing this, though, is this something that inspired you to now continue to write these things and add to it on your free time? Or, how did this class change things for you?
Oh, it changed a lot, I guess, just by the way I view the world. Mm-hmm. I think I joked about it at the beginning, but I sort of view things with adjectives now. Mm-hmm. Never used those before. So it's kind of nice to then, refresh my memory to make it more real by doing that. But indeed, I do, for another program, I do some writing, has nothing at all to do with memoirs. Mm-hmm. So this has helped with that. But I have been writing down my 6 facts and trying to zoom in on a couple other events in my life now, just to stay in practice.
I really love no one can see, but even Jen are just like proud parents. Yeah.
The big thing that I saw is the influence that this cycle and this person led you into, how important some people are in your life. When you look back, you realize the impact they made. Did you follow through it all with this acting, if you will, that you did? Did you do anything?
No, unfortunately not. No, just in high school, I continued to be involved with it.
But it broke you out of a shell, it sounds like.
Definitely. Yeah. And it just gave a whole new perspective from where I came from to what the world was out there. So, I wound up going from there to City College in English literature. Oh. So it was quite a change, but it also gave me the flexibility.
Aviation.
Yes.
Yeah.
diverse.
No more
Right.
engineering. Now let's try 18th century literature.
Well, you know what? I like that. A true Renaissance man. And, before you were saying, your 6 facts. Is that something that you learned in the class? Was there little activities that, prompted you to kind of get these memories? Or was it your favorite activity?
No, it's just looking at activities I didn't even know about.
Mhm.
I mean, really, I never thought about this, except I did enjoy the experience of being on the stage kind of thing. But no, Eva and Jen sort of made us probe a little deeper and to look into different aspects, different events in our lives that maybe we never even thought about. So
fun.
so that was it. And then when you start looking at that event, which seems like nothing, you dig and dig and dig and say, wow, that was really formative in one way or another. So you can
Yeah,
start
I can
writing
very
about it.
much relate to what I remember in my life, a couple of experiences, which we don't have time to go into, but that kind of got me more being able to speak, if you will, as opposed to being a bumbling boy teenager who didn't know what was going on.
I mean, that's how I felt when I was thrown on the show, like as an intern. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to throw up. I don't want to do this. And look, 14 years later, Otto.
Yeah.
But is there any advice, Sean, you have for any of our listeners who are thinking like, they might want to dabble in, kind of writing that you could give them after taking this class?
Oh, I'm not one for advice at all. Trust me. I waited till this time to start writing anything about myself.
See, but I think there
So,
it's
for
never too
example,
late.
I
Never
think
too
your
late.
Yeah.
Okay.
Example of what you can do. That was very well done in my judgment, and I'm not a critic by any means. And I think you're an example of what you can do
Yeah.
if you try. And
Well,
you
we
have
were
guidance
impressed.
from people who pull it out of you, if you will.
Definitely. Otto, you have to do that. You have to sign up for their next workshop and
I
you'll have
actually
fun.
do.
You'll have fun.
I might try it.
All right. Otto's going to add it to the bazillion things. Well, thank you so much, John. It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you.
It was just incredible. So we are going to switch up. It looks we're going to swap out. We're going to have Eve will be coming in. We'll have Eva and Linda Joe will be joining us. Come on, Linda. You're in the hot seat now. Welcome, Linda. Don't be
Hi.
nervous. I see the look on your face. There is nothing to be worried about here, Linda. So, Linda, what made you sign up for this class?
I brought my props.
Oh, I know. I hope people are watching.
I have a 4-year-old grandson. When he was born, my daughter said, "Did you get one of those books where you're going to tell him, a little bit about yourself?" I
Oh.
said, "Yes, I did."
Good. As a good
That's
grandma, as a good
And then,
grandma should do.
and then I think a couple of years ago, she gave me
Oh, I love all this.
letters to my grandchild where, prompts,
Oh, the letters.
vague prompts, like this is a special story about our family. And of course, they are still blank.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
hard. Okay, I'm going to tell you also, Linda, I have a similar company and I did letters to my best friend and I was like, I'm going to do this for my best friend. I'm going to write her whole book. And I also have mine blank too. So I think we can make a pact together that maybe we could fill these letters.
Right. So when I got the opportunity to take the class, I said, well, I need something to help me, to motivate me, to push me, because I do realize how important this
It's
is.
so
because if any, he's 4 years old.
Yeah.
What does he know about me? Really nothing. And,
yeah,
so this
just
is
a thought, it can be overwhelming. And my thing about eating an elephant, you can only eat the elephant one bite at a time.
That's our big saying on the
Yeah,
show.
if you do one of those here and another one in a couple of days or whatever, before you know it, you look back and you did them all.
I mean, I think the thing Jen and I noticed about the participants is they all had something. They had a lot of things, but they needed the group and they needed the guidance.
Yeah.
They, like the elephant bit, we needed to give them the start to get going.
So, Linda, if you would read a little excerpt from what you did in the class, we would love to hear it.
I found it very difficult to get started, so it was really wonderful with the encouragement that Eva and Jennifer gave us. Okay. It was a rare and thoroughly enjoyable spring outing with my daughter and her 4-year-old son, James, my one and only grandchild. I had driven the short distance from my apartment, parked my car in front of their house in New Hyde Park, and climbed into the back seat of their family SUV so that I could enjoy the grandmotherly pleasure of catching up with my grandson's latest chatter. The Whaling Museum in Cold Spring Harbor had just the right amount of information, games, and crafts to encourage a 4-year-old, his mother, and his doting grandma. After James crafted his own sea star from recycled materials and won a prize for completing the museum's scavenger hunt with noble assists from Mom and Grandma, we walked down the road to a Mariner-themed cafe for a lovely lunch before heading home. We were tired, but the ride was fun, sitting beside James, happily singing along to his favorite car songs. Disaster awaited when we reached my daughter's home. We finished our goodbye hugs and kisses, but I couldn't open my car door. My full set of car and house keys were missing.
Oh.
I hadn't touched them all day, and now they were gone. I searched my handbag again and again. I took everything out over and over. I searched inside my daughter's house and outside all around my car, up the walkway, and even on the lawn. I racked my brain to remember every time I had opened my purse, either at the museum or in the cafe. I made calls to both places asking them to check for lost keys, but nothing had been found. Like most people my age, I had been feeling more and more forgetful, but this was real. I had actually lost my car keys and my house keys. I felt so vulnerable and feeble-minded. But what could I do? Do you have the extra house keys I left with you? I asked my daughter. I think I know where my spare car keys are at home. Can you drive me home to get them and then back here to get my car? My sweet son-in-law obliged me, driving me there and back again, so I was able to secure my spare keys and finally drive home. So, immediate disaster was averted, but I couldn't take this loss lightly. For days, I ruminated. I live alone and have to take care of myself. My car is essential for my independence, so I need a replacement spare key fob, but it's so expensive. I researched locksmiths that might reduce the cost of a replacement key fob and called the museum and cafe again to check if the originals were found, hoping that persistence would pay off. But with time passing, I realized I should stop stalling, accept the loss, and move on. The next morning, after an early physical therapy session, I was ready to see my local locksmith. As I approached my car in the therapist's Great Neck parking lot, I noticed a tiny yellow Post-it on my car's back windshield. It read, "I found your keys. Call me at 775-2354. What was this? A prank? I had my keys in my hand. Who knew I had lost my keys and would trick me? Really, why? I was puzzled, but I called the number, and the woman who answered said, "What took you so long? Don't you need your car?" After cautiously answering her questions and identifying myself as the true owner of my car keys, we made arrangements to get my keys back. I learned that she lived in my daughter's neighborhood and had found the keys beside my car where I had dropped them. She would return the keys to my daughter. Suddenly, I realized that the note I had just found was not put on my car this day, but had actually been on the windshield since the day I lost my keys. Despite all my thorough searching, I had totally missed the note. We all did. And And moreover, we also missed the one placed on the front windshield. How lucky I was that the Post-it note had not blown away or washed away by rain. How lucky I was that a kind stranger took care and caution to safeguard my keys for its rightful owner. Perhaps I wasn't quite as feeble-minded as I felt. Granted, not totally observant, but also not stupidly careless or incompetent. A mistake was made, but fortunately, family and a kind stranger were there to help set things right and restore my confidence.
Oh, Lisa, that was great. First of all, I think it was also a commercial for Post-it notes about how sticky they are. I'm just impressed. I couldn't get past that it was still on the windshield. I mean, that's really.
Need waterproof.
I was impressed, but that was so good and so relatable in so many ways because I do think. I mean, I've been in that situation, numerous times with
Same.
family members, and it's, and I think you're in such a panic that the most obvious place, and like right in front of your face, you're missing.
Right.
So that was
Well, you also
Really
kind
so
of
good.
talked about the emotional and
yeah, absolutely.
feeling about that you were slipping,
Right.
if you will.
Yeah.
One of the things we found with Linda Jo's stories was the complexity between
Yep.
the seriousness and the weight of
Mhm.
something and her, like you heard it, you guys were listening, her comedic voice is right there at on the same level, just as serious as she could be as a writer. She can also be just so witty and funny.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just blown away by, both of you, John and Linda, that this was your first time doing something like this. I mean, really, it is definitely not something that's easy to do. And it was really great, Linda.
Well, it was Jennifer and Eva really helped to pull it out because I'm kind of like when the assignment was
Sorry,
given.
crying over here.
I know.
Don't look.
Well, it's all right. I totally. We cry on the show all the time, so it wouldn't be. Dan can vouch for like the amount of tears that I've shed on the show.
It was just like,
The witty and funny comment that you made registers with me also because life can be pretty heavy. And if you can take events and kind of look at them a little bit more with a witty and a funny attitude to a point.
That's
I
my
mean,
family's motto.
That's
Yeah.
ridiculous where that doesn't play anymore. But losing keys, if you look back on it, is really not life threatening. It's just a very major annoyance. And, it causes a lot of inconvenience and mental gymnastics. Where are these keys?
right. But, it makes you feel so stupid.
Of course.
Yeah.
No, and I think that's you hit upon real feelings that people have, and especially as you're aging, you immediately go there. I mean, listen, we've all been like lost our keys at some point.
Young people.
I
can
thought-
lose their
Absolutely.
keys.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, the amount of-
Exactly.
and I really thought for sure your grandson stole the keys. I was like, this is gonna be the plot twist that he
Yeah, I
had
thought
it
that
like
was
in
gonna
his,
be the-
yeah. Is that what you thought the plot twist was gonna be?
I
but
thought he was
I
going to have them in his pocket or something.
I have to thank you so much, Linda. And we have to take another break. We're having way too much fun. We're not even paying attention here. After the break, we will continue talking with Jennifer Albertson and Eva Shtein, who are the co-founders and facilitators of the Story Round and all the participants that took part in the program. You're listening to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host, Otto Los, and we're diving right back in with Jen Albertson and another fabulous participant of the Story Around Unwritten Stories program. We have Patricia Lackner joining us. Patricia, thanks for joining us, and I'm so excited to hear that. But before we start, what made you take this program?
Good morning. I was anxious to continue with some of my writings.
Oh, so you wrote before taking the class?
No, with other classes.
Okay.
And on my own.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, throughout
Mhm.
many years, actually. And I had always been interested in speaking to my mother about her
Mhm.
goings on in her
Yeah.
life many, many years ago. And also with what actually my whole family, my father and uncles, they had a big impression on me as I was growing up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, I think that's where we all have been. It's, and Otto touched upon that too, and I've actually been doing this with my own mother because I said, I never want to get to a place where I'm like, I should have asked that question. We should have had that conversation, and it's such a treasure, as you were saying, you wish you had that information. So I think
Well,
what you guys are doing is
to use
important.
this as an example, people say, well, if you could, who would you like to have dinner with? And I said, I'd like to have dinner with my father at the same age as me.
Yes.
And I think that would be quite a nice chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. And I also had a great interest in my husband's parents, and who are really great people.
Oh.
And also with his immigration to the United States.
Yeah. So where did they immigrate from?
From Slovenia.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow. All right, Pat. Well, we want to make sure we have enough time for you. So if you would share your newest micro memoir writing.
Okay. Thank you. It's called Della Leaving Ireland on June 11th, 1953. The morning dew lay heavy on the grass. The dewdrops mingled with the previous night's light rain, creating a thick rug that glistened on the lawn. Blades, leaves, and flower petals reflected the morning sun's bright rays. It was June 11th, 1953. On this day, my mother's usual breakfast preparations were eaten with much less than the usual enjoyment and enthusiasm. My sister Della was leaving for America. Della, my oldest sister, had finished packing the previous night. She had dressed in her navy blue suit. Mother had purchased a good suit of 100% wool in Ballyhonus, probably at Ford's on the square. Oh, how sad and beautiful she looked. Brother Tommy and sisters Joe, Attractor, Margaret, and myself waited outside the kitchen door to say our goodbyes. Mother's photograph reflected Della's sadness and our faint smiles. Dad carried Della's suitcase down the walkway. Tommy lifted it into Tom Flatley's car boot trunk, parked on the road. Quickly, the road was empty. Della had departed, and it seemed there was nothing left to do. Teddy, our dog, barked, cows mooed, chickens cackled, and the calves' bellows drowned out the sounds of our collective weeping. Later that morning, following Della's departure, we worked with our father in the nearby bog below the road. We did our best to concentrate quietly as we stacked and turned the turf, but everyone's blue mood mingled well with the heather's purple beauty. The quiet was broken by a new, unfamiliar sound. Slowly, we recognized that Daddy was crying. At this unfamiliar sight and indelible memory, we shared to some degree the enormity of his loss. The tears shed reflected the sadness of generations of fathers that had witnessed the departure of their daughters and our sons to immigration for hopefully better lives abroad. When we returned inside, every corner of the house seemed to echo with the memories and shared moments of our lives.
Wow.
I'm just blown away. I feel like I'm going to start crying at any moment as well. But, I don't think you guys are giving enough credit. I was like, oh, you're going to come on, Jen. We're going to bring some participants for the program. It's like you guys have all been doing this for years upon years. And
Well, you got me thinking, frankly, because my parents came from Germany when they were like 18 years old. And I never really, looking back on it, thought about what was that like for them, leaving siblings, which they both had, and they didn't know each other. They met here. But when you think about immigration, it's like, oh, immigration. But the impact on all the people involved with it, not just the people coming here, but
their
the people
families that are
who
still
did
there.
leave. It's major, and it just doesn't register. You put it in beautifully in words.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. All of you, have different. It's really. I can't even explain to you. I'm like almost speechless about how really incredible. And you felt the emotion. It's just absolutely wonderful.
One of my favorite things about Pat is when during class, if we would walk over, because we would talk to everybody and come over and she'd be like, oh, I have nothing interesting to say. I have nothing to write. Nothing interesting happens to me. And then you ask her one question. You're like, hold on. This is such an interesting thing. I can't believe you didn't think that was interesting. And it's like she did all of these incredible things. She's been through so many things. She's like, oh, nothing interesting about me.
But I think that just shows the importance of being in a space where you're being guided to do that, because I'm sure that's the sentiment of so many people, this is nothing that exciting, and you're like, wait, hold on. I gotta say that was incredible. Yes. But now we're gonna swap in your husband also, which it shows you couples can take these classes together too. So we're gonna bring on Frank Lackner. Frank, yes, of course. Thank you. Come on over, Frank. Hello, Frank.
Good morning.
You should be very proud of your wife. That was very, very, and
Great.
My favorite part of it too was watching Frank watch, his wife read. So proud. So that was actually the sweetest moment ever. And anyone who is listening needs to watch the video of this because it's well worth it. So thanks, Frank. So what made you take this class? Did your wife force you to take the class, or
not at all? No.
Vice versa, maybe.
Oh,
I've been actually writing for a number of years, about 100.
Mhm.
I've been trying to put together not only my family tree, but also my memoirs going back to my early childhood and all that. And I wanted to take this class because I wanted to make it hopefully a little bit more interesting, my story, rather than just being a story. And I wanted to make sure that that my memoirs were not just a guarantee for a cure for insomnia. So I wanted to put a little life into it. And this is definitely with the zoning in and everything that you explained. It was fantastic. So,
just two things. Where was early childhood?
well, I was actually born in Yugoslavia, but which is now Slovenia, but it was part of the Austrian, German, Hungarian
How old when
Empire.
you came here?
I was 6 when I came here,
Okay.
and it was in 1950, so it's been a while.
Where were you in 1950? What, in this
We first, when we came over, we first lived in Bed-Stuy in Brooklyn,
Okay,
and then we moved to Ridgewood, Queens.
I know that area. It's right near Woodhaven.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then a lot of time at the beaches and so on.
Right.
And then we moved out to New Hyde Park, where we've been
Where
for
I live now.
over 50 years, a long time. So,
Oh,
yes.
that's so great. Well, Frank, I'd love to hear your story if you would so kindly share it.
Okay, hopefully. Okay. We were staying overnight at a Howard Johnson motel in Barstow, California, before continuing our journey to Santa Barbara the following day. It was our annual vacation, and we had rented a Ford Econoline 150 that was very roomy for my wife and I and our sons, Stephen and Frank, aged 11 and 13. The Ford had a row of seats in the back that allowed the boys to relax and stretch out on their journey. AAA had provided us with a triptych for travel directions. It was the precursor of GPS and Waze, but nowhere as specific.
No. You had it on your lap.
Yes. After a well-deserved night's sleep, we looked forward to a nourishing breakfast before continuing our journey. A Howard Johnson restaurant was adjacent to the motel and served a hearty meal. We were seated in a booth with a large picture window facing the main street. Traffic outside was light, with an occasional vehicle passing by on the inclined street. Odors of fresh brewed coffee and breakfast foods filled the air. A busy waitress took our order and immediately brought mugs of hot coffee filled to the brim that we enjoyed. Although it felt as if we had waited a long time, our breakfast arrived shortly. The scrumptious food smelled as good as it tasted, and we enjoyed scrambled eggs, bacon and sausages, and pancakes smothered in maple syrup. A second cup of coffee was soon consumed. In the middle of eating, I glanced out the window. To my surprise, a pickup truck was sliding on its side past our window down the descending street. The truck had a firmly attached carrier on the back used as sleeping quarters. My first instinct was to help anyone in the truck that may be injured, but I wanted to shield our sons from any possible bloody sights. It all happened very quickly, giving me no time to think of what dreadful scene I may encounter. I jumped up from my seat, asked my wife and sons to remain in the booth as I ran to the front door. Before hurrying outside, I yelled to the cashier to immediately call 911 and report an auto accident. Cell phones were not in existence yet, requiring a landline to report any emergency. Arriving at the point where the vehicle had finally come to a stop, I noticed that a few people were already helping the driver, who was bruised and shaken, but not seriously injured. The truck had sustained some damage to its side, but fortunately, the sleeping portion in the back had no passengers, avoiding further possible injuries. Everything seemed to be under control, especially with the quick arrival of the police and ambulance. Returning to the restaurant, I joined my family and finished my delicious breakfast. It was even more enjoyable knowing that no one was hurt. We looked forward to the rest of our journey to Santa Barbara and hopefully an uneventful remaining vacation.
That was
Wow.
also great.
Wow. My gosh. I am blue. I just want to get another round of applause for all four of you guys. I mean, I think you guys need to put together a book or something. I mean, like the wheels are turning in my head. I can't wait to go back to work
Well,
and just tell everyone.
Howard Johnson's, you probably don't even know.
I do know what Howard Johnson
And
is.
landlines.
Yes. I'm just thinking about pancakes and maple syrup. I mean, after I think.
But I really like, I
Yes.
love the idea there of like what it means to be a father, right?
Yeah,
To have your children sort
exactly.
of keep their back and have all of these things happening and just making sure they don't turn around.
Yeah.
Like at that age, saving them from all of that stuff. It's like such a meaningful conversation about parenting that like all these things you do to like keep their back turned in the booth.
Yeah.
It's like a nice metaphor.
And still trying to help,
Yes.
shows the quality of your character too. So just incredible. So
Thank you.
well done. I just want more. I'm like, I want to see the rest
They
of
were
the
all
micro
good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Really
Incredible.
just absolutely wonderful. Is there any advice, Frank, before you leave us that you'd like to give anyone who's thinking about maybe starting to write that, is there a particular, I know Jen and Eva did like a lot of like kind of little activities to get you to remember certain things. Is there one that really sticks out in your head or?
I think there are a lot of people out there that have interesting stories to tell,
Yeah.
and they just need to sometimes, you think of something and you write down a thought,
Mhm.
just a short thought,
Yep.
and then you can build on that later on because you'll have it written down.
Mhm.
And to do so, because I think there's a lot of stories that need to be told and would be very interesting.
You talked, I'm also a family tree thing. Started like 25 years ago, and it was a mystery who was my grandfather, which drove me to that. But if you look at a family tree and you're just looking at a bunch of boxes
Mhm.
that he was born in 1902 and died in 1958 or whatever, like who really cares if you get right down to it? It's a box with numbers.
Mhm.
It doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, it does, but it doesn't. So when I started, I wound up with 580 people, all the cousins and this and that. And the more I look back on it, the less important some of that really is. It's more important to
The
try
stories
to
behind it.
identify the through line,
Yeah.
the grandparents and stories you might know about them, to put some life into it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big
Yeah.
part of the memoir you're writing too. We talked a lot about that, finding the line, right? Finding the way to carry that through.
Which unfortunately is hard to do if you didn't know them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I do start back in around the 1900s, around my grandfather's time, 1915, World War I, all of that information. So it's better than just a number, like you said. So,
Yeah, I mean, like I'm old enough that I was between 5 and 10 during World War II. And I remember a lot about World War II from those eyes. And I have documented what I remember. So, we don't realize it, but we've all gone through stuff. And it really would be great for future generations to see what that looked like then. Like COVID is a good example.
Sure.
What was really involved with COVID? Well, a lot.
right.
It's not just like, okay, there was COVID from, 2020 to whatever. No, there was a lot going on in there.
Yeah, I think
Right.
like a cool trick for that also in thinking about that is following an object. Like if you have a hand-me-down or something, to talk about like where that came from, and thinking about like who's touched it, how they wore it, and what they could have, because that gives you that like just a little sentence for each of the boxes on a family tree that feels like maybe that could be something you can hold on to, something tangible.
Well, like a lot of the family tree stuff will say, okay, like my grandfather was born in 1890. What was the world like in Germany in 1890? It wasn't like today.
Right.
It was very different. But at least generally, if they give you a little bit of a description what it was like, you can kind of relate better, than just the
Sure.
box.
For sure.
Yeah.
I just think, what you guys all did is incredible, and it's so rewarding for yourself. I mean, in the social, you could just feel what a special group this is. And I really encourage anyone that's listening. That was a great little golden nugget. We love golden nuggets on the show, Jen. So I think people that's a great place to start from. Like, we all have these hand-me-downs, that have been, in families for a long time. So I encourage anyone to, and Frank said, write down a thought and then go from that thought. So incredible. And we're just going to bring on Eva before we wrap up, because I just want to know what's the best way to get in contact with you. I know there's a lot of groups that might be interested. I know you guys are a library sometimes. So what's the best way to contact you guys?
Well, we have a website, thestoryround.com. You can always reach us there. It has our contact information. We also have an Instagram, if you're techie. At our email at storyround@gmail.com. And we are hoping to host many other classes with
That's right. We're
Project
hoping to have them
Independence.
back. It's such a great partnership, and I'm really glad that we were able to make this happen with you guys. So we're hoping for summer of 2026 we'll be doing another program of this. So you guys, our VIPs will be the first to know, I'm sure. But it's so incredible, and I thank you both so much for
I
joining
think this was
us.
very impressive.
Incredible.
Thank
I-
you
Yeah,
both
like,
for
you
having
know,
us.
my
You
weekend.
guys do great, and they all did.
Yeah,
great.
absolutely.
Stories were
We're very lucky.
Incredible. I'd like to thank all of our guests today, Jen, Eva, Patricia, Frank, Linda, John, for sharing their stories. It was just absolutely wonderful. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.